Hey you guys, Destiny here. Wanted to come on and do a super quick video on 8 ways to stay safe as a real estate agent. Let's jump into it. Tip number 1 is location sharing. Now, there are many apps out there that you can use in order to share your location with your family and loved ones. For our family personally, we use the Google Family Link app. And that way my husband is able to see my location as I'm touring homes throughout. Sometimes I'll shoot him a quick text, especially if I'm going to an area that I don't frequent or that is a little further away from home. I'll refresh my location as well as follow up with the text like, hey, headed to this particular address with this particular person. Please be on the lookout. Another tip for location sharing is knowing the homes ahead of time. So knowing the homes on your tour route ahead of time allows you to give someone else a heads up. And also, I would stick very closely to that home tour route if it's already established, avoiding allowing clients to add on additional homes at the last minute. Next up is know before you go. And when I say know before you go, that means know who you are actually going out to meet. Identity verification. So with Redfin, we have a whole team and software that will allow the customer to upload their photo identification. However, it is not foolproof. Sometimes the system doesn't pick up their identification, or it allows them to still book homes and tours without submitting that identification, in which case it is up to the touring agent to collect that information upon touring. For me personally, I never feel comfortable with a first-time home tourer whose identification has not been verified. So I will reach out to the customer, see if they would be willing to snap a picture of their photo ID and text it to me, and then I can upload it into Redfin's system. Again, that's not a real foolproof way. So it's totally your discretion as to if you feel comfortable meeting someone who has not passed the identification security check. And keep in mind, just because someone submits their identification does not mean that that's the person that's actually going to show up on tour. There are plenty of times where I've met out customers or clients who I would be thinking that they were a woman and then a male shows up. In that case, I quickly establish relationship, figure out who's who. A lot of times it's, a friend that's in town, and then the customer is on a video call on their phone, on a video call of some sort, or it may be a parent or, a child that's coming to view the home. On behalf of that person. In that case, I still want to see identification, and it's still, again, it's your discretion as to whether or not you feel safe with taking that tour. So always know before you go. Tip number 3, if you must park in a driveway, I highly suggest you allowing the customer to pull in first, and then you take the extra time to back up into the driveway. So should anything happen, you can easily hop in your vehicle and drive straight out without having to worry about maneuvering and reverse and things like that. For me personally, if I can avoid parking in a driveway, if there is street parking, I always park on the street. Tip number 4. Knock before you unlock. You guys, this is so important. I know as a realtor, we have access to a lot of homes. It can become very second nature for us, and we can take for granted the fact that we are walking into someone else's residence. For me personally, I knock whether that house is occupied or vacant. I announce myself. I make noise with my keys. I walk really hard. I turn on all the lights. I want to make it known that my presence is there, that my presence is big. I give, if there's somebody in the house, I give them ample opportunity to acknowledge that I am there prior to just unlocking the door and walking. Another thing that I'd like to add to the knock before you unlock, for me personally, I do not enter a home prior to the customer being there. There are just so many things that can go wrong, and the customer would not know that you were inside, or I just like to know that there is another person there with me when I am entering a home, especially for these larger homes. It's just too many places for people to be hiding. So I personally do not enter a home until my customer is there. They pull up, we greet each other, and then we head up to the door together. Tip number 5. This one is key. Check your surroundings. I tend to arrive early. I am notorious for arriving 45 minutes, sometimes an hour early. I'll park away from the home, but facing the home. I want to see everybody that is coming and going. I want to make sure that everybody that went in came out. And I just like to be there early to have my thoughts together. I want to know details about the house, and the location. And again, I just like to be aware of my surroundings. I'm looking at neighbors, I'm looking at dogs, I'm looking the people that are passing by. This is a big reason as to why I stopped taking on video calls. So Redfin offers video tours, which are great for a lot of out of town buyers or people who may not be in a position to get to the home right away. And so I used to do a lot of video tours. I have since stopped simply because strictly for safety. The fact that I can't be in tune with the video and what you're saying, as well as being present and in tune with my surroundings. So for me, it was a safety thing. So I completely stopped doing video tours. Every now and again, one will pop up on my calendar and I'm always like, just because I like to be very in tune with my surroundings. Next tip is I hate to say it like this, but there's no other way to say it. Be ready to fight. Plain and simple. Be ready to defend yourself, to be ready to fight. Now, that is not to say to walk around defensive. It's just saying to always be in a position or in a posture where you are ready to fight. This means that you are dressed appropriately. For me personally, and I addressed this in another video, my dress code is usually a t-shirt, some sort of pants, and a rubber sole lace-up shoe. And that is very intentional. It's not just because I'm lazy and I don't want to dress up or dresses aren't my style. It is very intentional. It's because it's for safety. I like to be branded. I like to be comfortable. And I like to know that if I ever needed to defend myself, that my arms are not restricted. My legs are free to do whatever I need to do in order to defend myself and possibly get away from a dangerous situation. Another thing that I always have on me is pepper spray. I'll let you know, just recently, I had to use it. I was showing a home and got outside and was talking to a customer. And again, being aware of my surroundings, I noticed 2 full-grown dogs that were charging towards us. The customer jumped up on her vehicle, and I wasn't sure if the dogs were trained or not. I just knew that they were coming towards us very aggressively. I shouted out a command. As soon as they did not respond or flinch at the command to stop and no, then unfortunately I had to spray one of the dogs. The second dog stopped and ran away, whereas the other dog, hey, I'm sorry to whoever's dog that was. Maybe it was a stray. Another great way to be ready to fight or flight is to invest in self-defense. Now, check with your local accountant or whoever does your taxes. But if I'm not mistaken, self-defense classes, as well as carry, conceal, all of that stuff, if they are essential to your industry or a part of your job, then they are considered write-offs when you are self-employed. Truth of the matter is most fights end up on the flow. So it would not hurt to take a judo class or to take my favorite is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so that how to, if somebody is bigger and somewhat stronger than you, know how to use your body and defend yourself, and put yourself in positions to subdue them either until someone can get help or until they're unconscious, one or the other. Either way, invest in self-defense. It does not hurt to do. And preferably some sort of self-defense that involves grappling. Number 7 is know your location. I had to get really good and actually train myself about this. Is I can never tell which part of Charlotte I was in. So I could have a general sense, and that just came from me just learning the area, learning the market. But now I always know which part of, which side of town I'm on, as well as the address. And when you tour hundreds and hundreds of homes, it's really hard to not take for granted knowing the address that you're actually at, or at least the cross streets. That is super important. If anything was to happen, even if you were on the phone with 911, you would waste so much valuable and precious time by not knowing your specific address of where you are. Last but not least, number 8, it is so important. Advocate for yourself. Do not allow this idea of customer service or people pleasing to allow yourself to end up in an uncomfortable or potentially dangerous situation. I personally had to learn this for myself. It wasn't until I found myself in situations where I look up and I'm like, ooh, this may not be good. We get a lot of tours for land or homes that are in the middle of wooded lots, homes that are out in the middle of nowhere, dilapidated homes, or homes that, may not have good air quality. Things like that, you can say no to. You can say no, simply put. I will never forget the time that somebody wanted to see 15 acres. And not really having experience with touring land. And of course, I wanted to exude customer service and, really, just give them a great experience. I found myself in the middle of the woods with 2 guys. Actually, it was 3 guys. It was the owner of the lot and then the 2 customers. And in that moment, I was like, this is the most foolish thing that I could do. And I will never, ever, ever do something like that again. And I never have. And now I don't care if it means that I have to cancel the tour or call the tour hotline and let them know my situation. Like, hey, this home has mold in it. I do not feel comfortable with touring it due to air quality. Or, hey, this home is out in the middle of the woods. Or it could be something like, the disclosure says that to use caution because the floorboards aren't sturdy. Unstable foundations, I will not tour. It's just not worth my safety or, the money or whatever it is. It's not worth it to me. And so I've gotten a lot better with saying no. I hope that you guys have found these tips valuable. I hope that you will kind of add them in the forefront of your mind when you are out touring, being a touring rock star, being a rock star agent. Just keep these things in mind. There's only one you, and nobody is going to look out for your safety and advocate for you the way that you will. So I will continue to keep these videos going because 1, I just enjoy doing them, and 2, I just think it's so much information that I could share along with you guys, that a lot of information in which I wish that I had when I first got started with showing homes. So until next time,